You can go.
I can go now.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll call the monthly board meeting of the Shell Rock River Watershed District for April 14th, 2026 to order. Please call roll.
Manager Bodkin,
Here.
Manager Kramer.
Here.
Manager Pasuski,
Here.
Manager Lee.
Here.
Manager Delta.
Here. We're all here. Next is item number 2 of the agenda, a public hearing on the Sanderson wetland restoration. Now opening public hearing for Sanderson wetland restoration. All comments by the proponents, opponents, or the public shall be made from the podium. Please give your name and address. This is required because of an official record of the public hearing is being made. Please note, comments are limited to 3 minutes. These rules are intended to promote an orderly system of holding a public hearing, to give every person an opportunity to be heard, and to ensure that no individual is embarrassed by exercising the individual's right of free speech. It is not necessary to be a proponent or an opponent in order to speak. If you consider yourself neither a proponent or opponent, please speak during the proponent portion and identify yourself as neither a proponent or an opponent. No comment shall be made from any other location, and anyone making out of order comments may be subject to the removal from the meeting. There will be no demonstration during or at the conclusion of anyone's presentation. Would anyone like to speak? Second time, anyone like to speak? Third and last, anyone like to speak for the public? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. Item number 3, public forum. Does anyone like to speak from the public?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then, please, you're not yet done.
I am John Ryder. I'm the city environmental engineer, and I just wanted to thank the board for getting right at cleaning out and fixing up the outlet of the South Shore Storm Pond. It needed some maintenance, and I appreciate your attention to that. It's worked out really well. And then also, I wanted to also thank you for the grant funding for our 2 rain gardens that we did last summer. I've been out this spring doing maintenance on them, and especially the one at Academy Park is catching an incredible amount of debris and leaves and sand and all kinds of things. And I encourage you guys, if you want to spend money on stuff that will help water quality, let's do some more of those kind of stormwater interceptors and try to clean up the stormwater, because that really is doing a wonderful job on that one little section. And I'd like to get an opportunity to do another one someday. So thank you for your assistance and your support.
Not a problem. That's kind of what we like to do too, is get it stopped before it's there. Yeah, for sure. Does anyone else like to speak? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
Mr. Chair, we have no additions, corrections, or deletions at this time.
You do have a motion to approve. Agenda as is made by Manager Lee. Do I have a second? Second. By Manager Pasuski. Discussion. Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bodkin.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delta.
Aye. Carried. Now, item number 5, consent agenda. Following items will be acted upon without discussion in accordance with the staff recommendation. Associated documents unless a manager requests opportunity for discussion. A, minutes of the March 10th, 2026 Shell Rock River Watershed District regular board meeting. B, minutes of the April 1st, 2026 Shell Rock River Watershed Strategic Planning Committee. C, March 2026 Treasurer's Report. D, March 2026 Project Fund Treasurer's Report subject to audit. E, authorized payment of claims. F, authorized payment of project fund disbursement. G, quarterly transfer. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
By Manager Pasuski, do I have a second? A second. By Manager Kramer, any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Buckin,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delger.
Motion carries. Item number 6. Natural Resource Technician Mike Buckles, I do not see him here today.
That's right, Mr. Chair, he's out on some medical leave, dealing with some family matters. So me and Courtney will be covering some of his agenda items here. So the first one is resolution 2026-08. This is our recreational area. I will have Courtney read the resolution, and then if we can get a motion in a second, we start discussion.
So, do I have a motion? Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Lee, please read resolution 2026-08.
Okay, resolution 2026-08, placement of property into the National Recreational Area Program. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the district established the National Recreational Area Program on December 9, 2025 by Resolution 2025-12 to open up district properties for natural, recreational use and enjoyment to the public. Whereas the district has acquired and completed restoration on district properties and desires to open the properties to the public for public use and enjoyment of nature, including but not limited to fishing, hunting, birding, and other recreational activities consistent with the Outdoor Heritage Fund requirements. Whereas the district desires to maintain the following properties for long-term preservation and public access, including Bancroft parcel ID 13-021.0030 and 13.016.0060. Owens property parcel ID 08.030.0021. The Glenville property parcel ID 27.500.0080. Consistent with city zoning, no hunting allowed. The Belshon property parcel ID 08.020.0320. Schroeder property, which is parcel ID 03.033.0040, and the Eberhart Lake parcel ID 09.023.0063. Whereas upon the recommendation of the Strategic Planning Committee, the Board of Managers has determined that placing the recommended district properties into the National Recreation Program for public use and enjoyment is the best interest of the district, and the public is inconsistent with the Heritage Fund requirements. Whereas the district will implement signage to designate the natural recreational area properties and their respective uses, restrictions, and boundaries. Signage will include a QR code that will take public users to information regarding district contact information and property information, including boundaries, permitted uses, restrictions, and additional rules or information. Whereas the district will not allow overnight camping, fires, permanent structures, include hunting stands or blinds, target or trap shooting, and motorized vehicles, except in a public parking area if applicable. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that placing the recommended district properties into the district's natural recreation area program will promote the public interest and welfare, is practical, and conforms to the Outdoor Heritage Fund statutory requirements. Now, therefore, Section 1, the district hereby approves the placement of the following district properties into the Natural Recreational Area Program for long-term preservation and public use and enjoyment, including the Bancroft, Owens, Glenville property, which is consistent with city zoning and no hunting allowed, the Belshon, Schroeder, and Eberhart Lake properties. Section 2, the district hereby authorizes district staff to take all necessary steps and execute any necessary documents to place the properties in the natural recreation area and provide for public use, including creation and placement of signage and public education. Dated April 14th, 2026.
Very discussion.
Yes. Some of them are multi-parceled though.
These will all be signed accordingly, so you know whether there's public hunting or not public hunting, that kind of thing.
So again, Mr. Chair, we're doing this again to comply with the source of the heritage funding requirements. It's one of the requirements that these properties need to be opened up to the public, and where we can, open to public hunting. For instance, like the Glenville piece, it's within city limits, so we cannot have hunting, but people can still use it to walk, bird watch, whatever, so. Still want to keep that open to them.
So the Glenville property, is that along Charlotte?
Correct.
To the north of town or south of town?
So,
South of town?
yep, it's on the south side of that highway that, or the bridge that
Yeah,
crosses.
13, yeah.
Yep,
East
it's
of
on
the
the,
thirteen.
Okay.
East of town.
Yeah.
Swamp.
All right,
So when you go to sign this now, are you gonna sign it properly or just at where the people can go in and park? Is that the only signage, or are you gonna go around the perimeter and sign?
The plan is to go around the perimeter and make sure we got the corners for surely marked, main access areas marked. And then one piece of the signage, which we'll get to at this next piece in the agenda, is to approve this map. But what you don't see on here is the QR code stickers. We're getting some stickers that are UV resistant, so they don't fade in the sun. So you can take a picture of that QR code. It'll actually pull up the boundary lines right up on their phone. It'll link to our website and to a boundary line. So there's no mistake, where those boundary lines are, even though they're not exact. But then also we will have them posted me and Mike talked, potentially every 100 feet, but it depends on in location. If there's big wetland, we're not gonna want to go out and stuff.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Krasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee,
aye,
Manager Delger.
Aye, resolution 2026-08.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be taking item B, approval of the recreational area signage. Again, you have the signage in front of you. Wanted to keep it pretty clean, pretty crisp. Again, like I said, the only thing you don't see on here is the QR code, which will again take them to the map of the parcel with the parcel outline on that map. And if there's any extra stipulations on that property, such as like the Glenville property, we will have it stated on the QR code when they go to that, that there is no hunting within that parcel. So that is the approval we're looking for, is the approval of what the sign will look like that we will be posting out on sites.
So are each QR code different per the property?
Correct.
We have a motion.
so moved.
We do have a second.
Second.
By Manager Bakken. Any discussion? I think it's a good start. Sure, we might have to make some modifications, but it's a good start.
My question on, what's the drone policy on public lands?
That's a good question. If you go to, it's different if it's federal land or state land. I don't know the exact specs. I know federal land, you're not allowed to run drones over. I'm assuming the state is somewhat the same. But I can get more specific on that if you give me some time to research it.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question.
Well, I think it's illegal over private property too, right? I mean, I can't take out and go over the neighbors.
No, I know that for a fact.
That's what I mean. So where do the rules fall in here?
Yeah.
If I were a hunter, I mean, instead of walking a drone, would find you a lot of stuff.
Can you spot that? Let's use an airplane.
Any more discussion? Please call roll.
Manager Bakken.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Krasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye,
Manager Delger.
Aye, motion carried.
I will be taking item C, which is a motion to approve the AIS agreement with Freeborn County. Mike and I attended a county workshop where we discussed the AIS proposal of removing curly leaf from Fountain Lake and getting treatment done. We requested funds from Freeborn County, as they do get funds appropriated to them through the state for management of aquatic invasive species. And we went with a proposal that we were planning on working with Solitude, our lake management company. And we used the dollar amount that we had last year and knew that it was going to be very similar. So Freeborn County did agree to 50% of the cost not to exceed 20,000. When we went to them, we had an idea that it was roughly gonna be about 33,000 to treat the lake, so that's why they did not to exceed. They did already approve it and entered into it and signed it at one of their board meetings, so now we're just looking for our board to basically enter into the contract that allows for cost sharing with Freeborn County for funding of the treatment of curly leaf pondweed on Fountain Lake.
I have a motion
Don't move.
by Manager Lee. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Besuski. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Botkin.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Buzowski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delta.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. Item D is along those same lines. This is the motion to approve the AIS agreement with Solitude Lake Management Company. Again, this is the company that we used last year. Mike did reach out to other firms to get quotes, but their schedules were filled up and we had a good working relationship with Solitude and they provided us with a proposal for $33,100. So again, the cost to the district would be $16,550 after the cost sharing with the county. We will pay for the entirety of the project, but then get reimbursed by the county for half of it. Timeline is that as soon as we approve this, they're planning on coming down later this week, conducting a survey. They will then do the permitting with DNR. That takes around a week to 2 weeks, and we're looking at a target spraying of late April or early May.
Okay, do I have a motion? So moved. By Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Besuski. The city, they don't get involved with this kind of stuff because the county kind of controls the lakes, or how do we?
We have notified the city that this is taking place. I believe it was at their city council meeting last night. We let Steve and Ian both know that we were planning on conducting the treatment. I don't remember if when we just have to get like notice to the landowners, because technically the city of Albert Lea is one of the main landowners around there, but we work with the Tribune and our Facebook to get notices out to people to let them know that we are conducting the treatment. So the city has been notified, but we don't need to like check off a permitting box if that's what you're asking for the city
Yeah,
specifically.
that plus, do they put any money into the pot?
They have not.
They could. So I mean, the city could do it all themselves.
Yeah.
But we've sort of just taken
Taken over,
bull by the horn and done it.
get her done. Okay. Any more discussion?
It's good to get it done.
What's that?
That's good to get it done.
Yeah, we have.
We see what that crew they did last year, or the year before, and last year it killed it right back.
No more discussion, please call roll.
Manager Botkin.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Buzowski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Delta.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be taking item E. It's just an update on the Goose Lake fish barrier. This is the fish barrier that we retrofitted. It used to be the high output or high pulse fish barrier, similar to the other 4 fish barriers that we have. However, we were having issues with flow through the system and the carp staying in the system and perishing due to it, which caused a mess for the golf course. So we've retrofitted this to a basically a low voltage barrier. All the equipment is installed. We do have power hooked up to the barrier now, and the barrier is running. If you go down there right now, there actually is carp piled up in front of it and behind it, which we expect because we just got it up and going. One of the things that they will be doing today is they will be tagging the carp, and they're going to do this with pit tags. If you remember, we did this on Fountain Lake and Albert Lea Lake, where we could sort of track the movement of the carp. We're doing this, and the University of Minnesota is doing this to basically track how effective the low voltage barrier is. So that is happening today as far as the pit tagging. And then we'll be installing some solar panels out there to run the equipment that monitors the pit tags, as well as we will be putting a 4G wireless camera out there so that we can actually monitor it here from the office, or they can monitor it up at the university. And main thing we're looking for there is just make sure we're not killing a bunch of carp. And we don't have a mess for the golf course down there. It's
Smelly mess.
a smelly mess, yes. So if there's any other questions, I can answer them now, otherwise. We're good.
No more questions? Okay, then we'll go on to item number 7, question.
Well, I wanna know why you not just catch that carp and get rid of them.
If you give me the staff and the money, I'll do it.
You have to make a carp collector.
They have setups where they actually use the same system. It's basically to channel the carp into basically a carp trap, and then they have conveyors that convey the carp up into trucks. But the access location there and trying to get trucks and stuff in that area is not very conducive. So
There was, if I remember back when around 85 or so, when they first started cleaning up. Like they put carp trap signal out there by Shaw Park and that creek there. And they took tons of carp out of there.
they used to have them on Wedge Creek too. They're around 13. You can see the old remnants of the old carp traps. But they're very a lot of man hours and a lot of time and staff to do a good enough job that you're gonna make it.
I guess back, if I remember right back then, it was like the Salt Lake Sportsman's Club, and you know, they was all had volunteer there. So they took out a lot of carp. Okay, thank you. Yep.
Anything else? And we go to item number 7, project and program manager Courtney Phillips.
Thank you. The first item is resolution 2026-06, which is the Sanderson Wetland Restoration Plan approval. You do have the plans included in your packets. This was a plan concept that was designed by the Board of Soil and Water Resources, or Bowser. We are working with Bowser to engineer this project. They are receiving federal funding for the peatland restoration that comes from federal funding. So we did not have to necessarily pay for the engineering services. We are just working collaboratively with Bowser and DNR to complete the project. And they are actually the ones who are funding the project, and it's on our property as well as the DNR property. This project is going to require a ditch petition. That petition was submitted yesterday, so it will be going through the county process. We have notified the landowners that are adjacent to this property, and I've had one-on-one meetings with them, and they do not have concerns, but they will again be receiving formal hearing notifications through the county drainage process. That process will take some time, but we do still need to approve the project plan as we move forward. So if there's a first and a second, I will read the resolution.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Angela, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Wasuski, please read the resolution 2026-06.
I will, and I want to point out that the one that's signed, it does have the correct engineering here, but it's wrong on the text. Resolution 2026-06, Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project, approved project plan, project 2026-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project 2026-02 was initiated on February 10th, 2026 by resolution 2026-03. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined the approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan, therefore the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is practicable, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District, Section 1, approves the Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project Plan as presented by the Board of Water and Soil Resources, and Section 2 authorizes district staff to conduct work as needed to present this project to the board for final review and public hearing as required by law, dated April 14th, 2027.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Call roll.
Manager Bachman.
Aye.
Manager Brennan.
Aye.
Manager Wojcicki.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Dozier.
Aye. Resolution 2026-06 passes.
All right, thank you. Resolution 2026-07 is the next step in that process, and that is the Sanderson Wetland Restoration Establishment. There's no second, I'll read the resolution.
Take a first. And Judy, do we have a second? Second. Please read the resolution.
Resolution 2026-07, Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project, project establishment of project number 2026-02. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District Board of Managers pursues the mission of implementing reasonable and necessary improvements to the water-related and other natural resources within its boundaries. Whereas the Shell Rock River Watershed District is charged with implementing the Shell Rock River Watershed District Watershed Management Plan. Whereas the Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project 2026-02 was initiated on February 10th, 2026 by Resolution 2026-03. Whereas the project plan was forwarded to the Board of Water and Soil Resources and Department of Natural Resources for review on February 13th, 2026. Bowser comments were received by letter dated April 7th, and comments were received from DNR on February 26, 2026. Whereas on April 14th, 2026, by Resolution 2026-06, the Board of Managers approved the specification for the project, which is the project plan. Whereas a public hearing was held on April 14th, 2026 to review the project plan. Whereas the Board of Managers, having reviewed the project plan and has determined the approval of the project plan will further the objectives of the plan. Therefore, the Board of Managers hereby finds that the project has the potential to promote the public interest and welfare, is feasible, and conforms to the watershed management plan as set forth above. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Shell Rock River Watershed District hereby Section 1 establishes project number 2026-02 Sanderson Wetland Restoration Project. Section 2 authorizes district staff to complete the project as set forth in project plans. And Section 3 authorizes district staff to obtain bids, request for approvals, and enter into any other agreements or contracts necessary to complete the project dated April 14th, 2026.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bachman,
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Krasuski. Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Bill.
Resolution 2026-07 passes.
Thank you. Item C is a motion to approve a bar engineering agreement for the Hine Wetland Restoration. This was in your packet. I want to point out that this is for construction oversight as well as construction staking and the ability to create an as-built or a markup of the plan once construction is complete to provide an as-built survey for the Hine Wetland Restoration. This is all funded through our Lissard Stamps funding, our oldest funding that we have that expires June of next year. We do have this project out for, we awarded a contractor, they're looking to start late May. We're just kind of waiting for the timeline and when their availability to get that project started. But it's with Groundworks Backflow Service out of Janesville. So just looking to approve this engineering service agreement.
Do I have a motion? So moved. By Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
By Manager Krasuski, any discussion? How long is that project gonna take?
It's not very long, less than 2 months. And I do want to point out, just for the record, that the engineering services agreement is for $20,000. It is billed not to exceed, so if they don't use all the hours, it will be that.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bachman.
Aye.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Krasuski.
Aye.
Manager Lee.
Aye.
Manager Bill.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The next item is a bigger one. This is a motion to approve the bar engineering agreement for the channel restoration. So when we originally put out the request for proposals for engineering services of the channel restoration project, we had approximately $3 million to do the work. Since then, we've received more funding from Lissard Stamps as well as LCCMR to complete the project, and it's now close to a $6 million project. When we were in the process of doing the advisory committee meetings, it became apparent that looking at the dam and the removal of the dam into a rock ripple type structure is also very important in this step of the work for the channel restoration. And so this engineering proposal is including the engineering of removing the dam as a concept of the work as part of the channel restoration project. So it is a larger service agreement. We did have some changes from the scope of work when it was sent out in the packet. So the updated cost is $422,000. This is a difficult, It's a more complex project, just with all of the utilities that are in close proximity to the dam. You have that bridge. Bridge Avenue Bridge, as well as there is city infrastructure that's underneath the dam right now. There's a sanitary sewer. We've been reviewing that heavily with the city. We will eventually have a joint powers agreement. The city is going to be paying for some components of this project. For example, there's a sanitary sewer that runs underneath the dam and they want that replaced and upsized as part of this project, but the city will be paying for that portion of it. I did have the city review this proposal. Steve provided comments, so they have been incorporated in the process, and they will definitely be a part of the planning process. We will be funding the replacement of the dam, but then donating the dam back to the city, so it would still be a city-owned dam. So again, this is a big project, but we were very confident in Bard's ability. If you remember that they were the ones that did the Albert Lee Lake Dam project for us, they engineered and did construction oversight of that. They are using a sub-consultant SRF for the integrity of the bridge because the dam and the bridge are kind of all created on the same pylons. So they are using a sub-consultant. Looking for a motion to approve.
We have a motion. So Manager Kramer, we have a second, and Manager Bakken. Now, you're looking at taking that dam off. I've been reading this, but are you gonna take that dam out completely?
Yep, and we'll
Do it
be
with a rock dam?
similar to how Albert Lee Lakes
The
looks.
same as that, going.
There's still a coffer dam out in front of it
Oh.
that you don't see because it's
Alright.
covered by the rocks.
That's what I'm wondering about. How's that gonna work?
Question.
Yeah.
Have we addressed the carp issue? Then there is a fish or a carp barrier on, right?
There is a physical barrier and that has been a point of topic, however. It's not like Fountain Lake does not have carp already in it, and so. There has been the discussions of do we put a physical barrier or some type of an electric barrier back in? And at this point in time, that location is not gonna be at the dam. We're looking at potentially using something downstream. Whether that be a bubble barrier, sound barrier, or a low voltage barrier, but you gotta remember that this is a state water trail, so you also need to kind of have connectivity. So we've been working and looking at the carp populations. We've been working with the DNR fisheries out of Waterville to see what their opinion is, and although they're having a rock riffle structure might allow carp to navigate between the two lakes, it also could potentially allow walleye to go between the two lakes. So that there's a population of walleye in Albert Lee Lake, but just no one has success fishing them. Could they if they were in Fountain Lake? And so that's where we've kind of toying around the idea of, well, we know that Fountain has carp, so it's not like it would be introducing a new species by not having that barrier there. But there's something in place in Fountain Lake that is preventing carp from spawning successfully, I would say, whether that's all of our electric fish barriers that we have in the upstream area. So yes, there is the risk that carp will move, but it's not like it's an introduction of a new species. Fountain already has carp. And some say that they think that carp are navigating anyway with that physical barrier when that's really not flow conditions. So I know that was a point of angst for me, but it also opens up the availability for other species to move to. So it's one of those.
It's something that I think we can monitor and look at those other types of barriers, whether it's sound, bubbles, or the low voltage. There's definitely something we can put in place if we see it as a issue. But I think it can also be a benefit. We have a really good northern pike population in both lakes, and this would allow them to. I believe there's more spawning potential in Albert Lee Lake for pike, and this would allow pike to go back and forth too. So, like Courtney says, it's kind of a give and take, and I think we just need to monitor it, make sure we're making the right decisions moving forward.
Well, also by putting in a carp barrier, you're gonna also kind of screw up some of what people wanna navigate up and down it. I mean, how do you get around that?
Well, that's where if you go with like the bubble barrier, the sound barriers, people can easily navigate through them. There are different methods with the low voltage. Low voltage is not near the safety concern as our other ones, but the high amperage. And so there is possibilities even with navigation with those, but again, I think the best approach for us is just to monitor, see how it goes. and see if we start seeing issues, with carp.
Okay, any other discussion?
Speaking of the walleye spawning, do we have any numbers or any indicators on how in lake habitat with the gravel bed on Fountain is supporting walleye spawn?
At this point in time, we don't, but I can reach out to the DNR to see when their next lake survey is. And just see if I can get, because every now and then they do electrofish surveying and then, just netting assessments. So we can see when they have done them.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bakken,
Aye.
Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Pazuki,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Joe.
Aye, motion carried. Better cut you off there.
Another question.
The last item I have is a motion to approve engineering proposal with Bar Engineering for an EAW for the channel restoration project. So because this project in its entirety from the dam to the first railroad bridge is over an acre of impact underneath the ordinary high water mark, we have to do an EAW as part of the project, and that is an extensive environmental review, as you're familiar with, that we did for the dredging project. And so Bar Engineering provided a scope to complete the EAW as well, and that is $62,000. It does require a lot of modeling. This is going to be a permitting. I don't necessarily want to say headache, but it's going to take a lot of permitting because it's in a floodplain. You also have all of the infrastructure there, so we do need an engineer's help in assessing the impacts when it comes to modeling the dam replacement and how it affects the channel.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Lukey, have a second.
Second.
And Julie, any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Bakken, Manager Kramer,
Aye.
Manager Pazuki,
Aye.
Manager Lee,
Aye.
Manager Delver.
Aye, motion carried.
All I have, thank you.
Thank you. Educational so far. Item number 8, Administrator Andy Hensel.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My first item is a Fountain Lake, East Main Bay and Bancroft Bay update. This is again regarding the restoration or dredging of Fountain Lake. As you know, we did approve the contract with JF Brennan. We have been working with them to finish up their insurance COIs along with some of the final contract details. It sounds like we will be sending them out the notice to proceed either today or tomorrow. Once that's done, then we can start working with them on sequencing, trying to figure out where they're going to start, if they're going to start in East Main Lake or if they're going to start in Bancroft Bay. I know they have been reaching out to DNR Fisheries already to see if they can start before some of the fish windows that are in the permit. They decided to do that because they did that also in the first 2 phases in certain areas, and the DNR did give them some variances to work within some of those fish windows earlier than they were supposed to. So I know they're working on that. I also know that they're working on getting in all their submittals to the engineers. So hopefully we'll have a really good layout and some timelines for both the board and the public. I know we've been getting a bunch of calls on putting docks in and not putting docks in. So hopefully with that sequencing discussions with Jan Brennan, we can get answers to both the board and to the landowners there that have dock spaces out on Fountain Lake.
How much of the piping to the CDF is still there? Quite a bit of it?
None of it is there. The only little there, I shouldn't say none. There is a little bit out at the CDF, but very little. So
they got to redo all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go to item B is a sales tax renewal update. So just to give you a little bit of an update, Ian, the city manager, Ian Riggs, and myself, along with Senator Dornick, met the tax committee on March 18th to testify on our local option sales tax. That discussion went really well. We had some good feedback and no questions. So that testifying went well. On April 22nd, City Manager Ian Riggs and myself are going to testify at the House of Representatives, along with Representative Peggy Bennett. So again, that's coming up here in a couple weeks. And again, we'll be testifying to them on the local option sales tax and explaining to them the importance to this area and to this region. So, any questions on sales tax?
We're moving along anyway.
Yes, there is movement, and you know, it is always interesting to see how both parties work through the issues. I will say that, I think going into the session, there was a lot of concerns on what will get moved out of the tax committees and actually get approved. But I think the momentum is in favor of local option sales taxes.
I'd say option.
Yes, local sales tax. Thanks for reminding me because I need to work on that. So, I think the momentum is good, and the possibilities to get it out of the committees and to get it approved is good. What I'd like to say is 100%. I'd love to, but I can't. But I think we have some good momentum. I will say there is a lot of local option sales tax up for approval. So.
Okay, good.
All right, moving on to item C. This is kind of a sad one, but a good one for us as well. Basically, a motion to approve a job class change for the natural resource technician. And get a motion, and well, I don't have a motion yet. So let me just read Mike's letter to you, and then I'll move on to what type of motion I'll be looking for. So this is the letter to the district from Natural Resource Technician Mike Wackles. It says, Dear Shell Rock Watershed, please accept this letter as a formal notice of my resignation from my position as Natural Resource Technician with the Shell Rock Watershed District effective April 24th, 2026. It says, I am grateful for the opportunity to work for an organization dedicated to conservation, land stewardship, and service to the community. I have valued the experience gained through this role and sincerely appreciate the support and collaboration of the team during my time here. It says, I have discussed with the district administrator my willingness to continue serving the district as a temporary part-time employee to assist with duties such as water monitoring and special projects. Again, thank you for this opportunity to be a part of the team, and I wish you and everyone here continued success. Sincerely, Mike Wackles. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would be looking at a motion to accept Mike Wackles' resignation as a regular full-time position of the natural resource and to reclassify his position as a temporary part-time natural resource technician.
By Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
Manager Lee, any discussion? So you haven't talked about how many hours you'll work just on the need and how you've got time.
Yeah, so temporary part-time, kind of limits, 20 hours a week, or you can do it by half a year or full year. So when me and Mike talked, we talked anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a week through the heavy season, which is the water monitoring, and then sort of as is if we need them for special projects.
Are we going to be looking to replace that position then?
So what I would like to do, Mr. Chair, is I would like to work through this until about December 31st, and then work with the personnel committee to see how it goes. Also to see if Mike can fit it now with his new job, how things are working with him, and then possibly make some changes going into the January 1st of 2027.
Okay, sounds like a good idea. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Manager Parkin,
Okay.
Manager Kramer.
Aye.
Manager Pazuki.
Aye.
Manager Lee. Manager Douglas.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item D is just a board appointment update. I did submit the board appointments to the Cleveland County Commissioners. Again, up this year are Brad and Mike. So if you guys want us to assist in your letters, to resubmit your letters, or if you want to resubmit your letters, or your engagement to sit on the board again, please do so, or please let us know. Okay. Otherwise, I know that they are looking at that. I did talk with Mr. Edwind. He was looking for some information on the roles of board managers. So I sent him some information that the Minnesota Watersheds had. It sounds like they're potentially going to do interviews this year. So I said that's probably a good idea, to see what their interest is and what knowledge they have or could bring to the board. Again, been working on that. They will put that out in the paper as a notice. I told them to give us a heads up so that we know when they put it out for notice, and then we can let everyone know. And with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Okay,
I believe with that process that, like you said, interviews are gonna potentially, if there's more applicants, have a workshop that they open it up to. So, I did go in person at a last meeting.
I was on the board, we did interviews on the board too, a couple of times.
Yeah, most times they do, but I know the last few they haven't. So.
And there was one year, there was a lot of people wanted to get on the watershed. So we had. We set up one night, I think we sat there and interviewed everybody. So, gotcha.
yeah, the first time I applied, I had to go before the board.
Yeah.
No, it's been ever since then, I have not.
Yeah.
Don't think I've been. Anybody try to take my spot. Okay, any manager items?
I'd like to just move up the watershed summer tour issue on August 25th to 27th. My understanding is the hotels are going quickly, so we should determine who and how many people will be going up there and reserve those hotel rooms sooner than later. Because otherwise we might end up having to drive from a nearby town or something like that, full hotels and lodging, because it's more than Minnesota watershed to see the Red River Report or another authorities. Yeah. So
I believe we have a block of 4 rooms so far. So
okay.
my thought is there's usually not more than 4 people that go. So we can always cut it back. But
okay.
So yeah, if anyone is interested, the managers are interested in the summer tour, again, please let us know. Just for room wise, for sure. Now we can always cancel rooms. So if you want us just to hold one for you because you think, but have to check the dates, again, just let Leah know.
Where is it at this year?
Short Lakes.
So like Detroit Lakes, yep.
It's a little later in the summer. It's
Correct. It's late August. It's usually late June. But the administrator for the watershed district up there is battling cancer, so they couldn't host it the way they wanted to. So Minnesota Watersheds found this partnership with Bowser to tour, so that's why it's late August.
Any other manager items? Hearing none, we'll go to item number 10, upcoming meetings. Lake cleanup, April 25th. Your gloves.
Bring your boots, gloves, and get ready to get down and dirty.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And let's get rid of some of the stuff that's out there. I already got one spot picked out, so.
Bring your own pail.
Yeah. They got bags, you got bags and gloves down there. Signed it down the down by the channel down there, so. Let's get out there and clean up a bunch of this junk that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, so the watershed district, we get the dumpster, we get the gloves and the garbage bags, have a little sign in. Once in a while, we'll give away a rain barrel just to try to get people to come in and sign up to go out and clean up, so.
They're having is it a some kind of
Medallion hunt.
medallion hunt this year that might bring more people. Cause they can clean up trash and look for it at the same time.
Hiding amongst the trash.
That might be part of the plan.
I'm getting the word out on all my Facebook stuff, so hopefully it'll get some more.
Good, thank you.
B, our next meeting is May 12th. Put that on our calendar. And the summer tour we just talked about, right?
Yep.
Any other upcoming meetings that
I just, I don't know if this is the first time you've been at a meeting, Ethan, for us, or not. Maybe introduce yourself a little bit, so what you're.
Yeah, so my name is Ethan Crandall. I work with Stephanie Patient over at Linda. Excuse me, she's covering another hearing at the courthouse right now. I couldn't see it, so she sent me in to place.
means you got something else to do besides us?
Now and again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think there's something, yeah.
I think there's some maternity leaves that are catching up to the rest of the staff, but I have to fill some holes, right? We got 3. Maternity leave.
Yes.
Yes.
With that, then item number 11 adjourned. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Manager Kramer, do I have a second?
Second.
Please call roll.
Manager Bakken?
Aye.
Manager Kramer?
Aye.
Manager Kaczynski? Manager Lee?
Yeah.
Manager Jones?
Yeah. You are adjourned.
Thank you, John.